For a decade plus now, the NL West has mainly been dominated by the Dodgers, with the Giants occasionally making the playoff run and winning the NL West. No one in the division besides really the Giants have contested the Dodgers since they started this little run back in the 2010s. The Diamondbacks and the Rockies have been at the bottom of the division. Obviously, the Padres have been third wheeling in the division for a while now. Well, that is before the last 6 months for the Padres. Between the roster construction and the trades and the free agent signings that they've made, they've put themselves in serious contention of not only winning the NL West, but perhaps making the World Series and winning it. Now, I've been watching baseball since the late 90s, early 2000s, and never in my life have I ever seen a big four quite like what the Padres have. To me, this is the best 1 through 4 and the most talented I've ever seen on paper. At least in my lifetime, it feels like. For those of you who don't know what the Padres have been doing over the past 6 months, let me fill you in real quickly. At the trade deadline last year, they traded for Juan Soto, probably the best left-handed bat in all of baseball. In the offseason, they go out and they get shortstop Alexander Bogaerts, one of the best offensively gifted shortstops in the entire league. And they're getting their young superstar shortstop back in Fernando Tatis Jr. after an 80-game suspension for PEDs last year, seeping into this season. And all this already complements third baseman Manny Machado, one of the best in the league. Now, when you start out with a guy like Juan Soto, the generational talent that he is, I personally call him the walk god and the on-base percentage god. Juan Soto not only had the most walks by a large margin in the majors last year, but he has one of the highest walk rates in all of baseball. You add all of that on top of the fact that when he's hot, when he's feeling comfortable, when he's in his zone, he's the best player on the planet, bar none. He is the best, not just left-handed hitter, the best overall hitter in the game. The kid can go out there and hit for 310, 320. He can give you 30 home runs a year, over 100 RBIs. He can create a 400 plus on-base percentage and a 450 plus slugging percentage. He can give you all the overlying numbers that you want to see on a stat sheet and all the advanced metrics on the stat sheet you don't see. And of course, his numbers were down last year, but he contributes that in a recent interview just to the fact that he wasn't comfortable with San Diego whenever he got traded away. And then next up you have Fernando Tatis Jr., the face of the league, right up there with Juan Soto. This kid is a slugging god. He hits almost 600 on his slugging percentage. You're gonna have a guy that goes out there and gets you a ton of slug, a ton of on base, a guy that not necessarily has elite level discipline at the plate, but a guy that can clear the base paths and all the bases with one swing of the bat. The guy had one of the hardest hit rates in 2021, on top of the 42 home runs that he already hit that year. And then you jump over to the third baseman, Manny Machado. Manny Machado is one of those guys that I like to describe like this. He's always ready to hit. He's not one of those guys that in the league says, oh yeah, I'm ready to hit, goes up to the plate and misses a center cut fastball or fouls it off. Manny has some elite level plate discipline. And you combine that with the fact that the guy can slug, hit 30 plus home runs a year and drive in over 100. You're asking for a lot of trouble if you're throwing at this guy whenever Fernando Tatis Jr. is either one batter away or two batters away in front or behind him. And then finally, you jump over to Alexander Bogaerts coming over from the Boston Red Sox to free agency. Alexander Bogaerts has had the title of one of the top 5 shortstops in the league for the past few years now. The guy is absolutely disgusting when it comes to generating on-base percentage. Now, he's not a guy that's going to go out there and hit you 30, 35 home runs and drive in 100 a year. That's just not his style of baseball. But what he does do is hit for over 300 on average. And he can slug the bat quite well. And you pair all 4 of these guys up together, and what do you have, really? Well, you have a team that's able to generate an enormous amount of on-base percentage and generate an enormous amount of pressure on starting and relief pitching. And then you add in the fact that Juan Soto, Manny Machado, and Fernando Tatis Jr., especially Fernando Tatis Jr., can slug it. They can knock that ball over the center field wall if they want to. You're talking about a lineup that 1 through 4 is an absolute death row of hitters. This is an absolute worst nightmare for any pitcher in the league outside of maybe Jacob deGrom. The reason I said Jacob deGrom is because I've actually seen him pitch against Fernando Tatis Jr. and Manny Machado, and he dominated them. The absolute complementary of weapons to the arsenal of Bob Melvin and this Padres organization is absolutely disgusting this year. And I also said this year because Manny Machado is talking about opting out of his contract at the end of the season to go get a bigger bag somewhere else. But you have a lineup that's going to generate on-base percentage, going to get a lot of walks, create a ton of pressure on starting pitching. And with pressure comes mistakes, and with mistakes comes home runs. And I don't feel there's going to be a better 4 in the league that's going to hit home runs than this 4 right here. Alexander Bogaerts, Fernando Tatis Jr., Juan Soto, and Manny Machado. Guys, would love to know what y'all think in the comment section down below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Do you think this 1 through 4 is going to have the best slugging numbers and the best on-base percentage numbers in the league? And if you haven't already, go and like the video and subscribe to the Change Up if you are brand new to this channel. Plenty of baseball content like this I'll be bringing y'all's way. I thank you all so much for the support, and I'll see you all in the next one. Adios, mis amigos.